Madoka Magica was the topic of one of my first videos on this channel. I didn't realize with that video I drunkenly stumbled into an incredibly passionate fandom who still loved the show just as much as they did when it aired 11 years ago. I got lots of people telling me to watch Rebellion, and well, now I finally have. And man, do I have so much to say about this movie. After watching the anime, I wasn't sure why continuation of the story was even needed. It seemed that it had pretty well tied up everything, you know, with Madoka being an omnipotent god now. I was scared the movie would try to somehow undo what the story of the original anime did. I quickly realized as I watched the film how ignorant I was. The story hadn't finished, in fact, it had only just begun. And there was a huge missing piece, the piece that Rebellion touches on, one I'm disappointed in myself for forgetting. Akemi Homura. Her story was not finished. In fact, her arc was still in the midst of what she was truly to become. My name is Hanlunn, and I make videos often about the things I watch. Leave a like and subscribe if you want more videos like this one. Here's my experience watching Madoka Magica Rebellion for the first time. Enjoy. Also, I'm about to spoil, you know, literally everything about the movie, so you've been warned.
私たちの戦いってこれでよかったんだっけ?
Magical girls fighting a never-ending battle against destiny, the price they paid for their wish to be granted, forever waiting for the end, for the law of cycle to take them away. Our story begins back in Mitakihara City, which is soaked in dark navy to contrast the bright tones of the emerging nightmare. And no, I don't mean a scary dream. Nightmare is what the girls call the monsters they fight, if you want to call a stuffed animal with two human hands a monster, and I mean rightfully so. The nightmares create this eccentric, colorful, and geometric alternative to the labyrinths we know so well from the series. Except they are far less destructive, and instead of violently fighting with them in a battle to the death, our gang of magical girls employs one of the most powerful weapons known to man, the cake song. And yes, it does make me uncomfortable that mommy is the cheese, and we all know why. The first 30 minutes of the movie follow the girls' normal, happy lives. This opening puts the quintet's relationships on display. Kyoko and Sayaka joyously bicker, mommy is the lovable caregiver, and Madoka and Homura are adorably kind to one another. They're all just relishing in how happy they feel working together. But of course, this happiness will be short-lived. It wouldn't be Madoka Magica if there wasn't something secretly disastrously wrong. A scene that will be repeated later on in the film, a very significant scene, is between Homura and Madoka as they talk in a field of white flowers. Homura states how she's felt like she's been waiting so very long to spend time with Madoka like this, but she doesn't realize how much of an understatement that is. Things begin to feel abnormal for Homura. Has it always been this way? Have fights always been this fun? The doubt of their reality sinks its teeth deep into Homura's mind. She begins seeing people's faces as muddy blobs of color, and the city that had not long ago been joyful slowly deconstructs into an eerie abstraction. Homura reaches out to Kyoko as she's the person who Homura feels is the most different from her memories. To test a theory Homura has, she and Kyoko attempt to travel to Kyoko's hometown. The closer they become to uncovering the truth of their reality, the more and more the world unravels. Despite their efforts, they are unable to find anything else besides Mitakihara City, proving that they are truly trapped in nothing but an illusion.
覚えているのは私だけなの。
Homura regains her memories, but not of nightmares, not of wraiths, but of witches. She even remembers the girl who destroyed the cycle every magical girl had been destined to. Homura remembers Madoka, the real Madoka, and decides they've all been trapped in a witch's labyrinth the entire time. Homura turns her attention to Bebe, the one who, in Homura's previous life, had been a witch. What ensues is something I never imagined I would ever need to see, but now that I have, I can't imagine my life without it. A show-stopping, downright exhilarating magical girl gunfight. I mean, seriously, this is peak anime. In no other medium would you see such a hilariously badass showdown. Homura pulls out real guns from her sleeves at her own whim. Both of them aim to perfectly deflect each other's bullets so that once time is unpaused, because time is paused the entire time, mind you, every single shot is blasted away from another, cascading them in this cocoon of flying bullets. It's an incredible scene. One that could only end in a stalemate, though Mommy did technically gain the upper hand in the end. #girlboss. But gunfight aside, let's talk about Sayaka. She's the one I've yet to mention, yet she is one of my favorites. A badass in her own right, Sayaka is the only one of these girls that seems to know what the fuck is going on. She confronts Homura after saving her from Mommy and enlightens her with the knowledge only a true sleeper hit character like Sayaka could have. Homura, think about this for a second. Do you really think that Bebe created this labyrinth? For what purpose? This seed of introspection causes Homura to realize something utterly terrifying. She realizes who the true enemy is. When did I become a witch? Well, Homura, your soul gem was tainted, not by despair, no, by something far more sinister than you could ever imagine. Love. That's right, people. Come one, come all, to meet the girl who is so down bad she killed herself by loving someone too much. A tragic duality of a potent affection. Homura had been so agonized by her inability to be with Madoka that she fell deep into a dark depression, one that Kyubei decided to reap the benefits of. To attempt to prove Madoka's existence, Kyubei essentially froze Homura's soul in time right before she transferred into a witch. Everything in the movie thus far had been a construction of Homura's consciousness, a labyrinth she created to protect herself. Everything but the few people who've been invited into the city by Kyubei has been fake. But let's take a step back for a second. Homura realizes that she has reached the point of becoming a witch, and she and Madoka find themselves back in that scene in the park with the white flowers they had innocently talked in before. In this scene, Homura convinces herself that Madoka didn't truly want to end her existence. Madoka just knew that that was the only way to save everyone, but truly, deep down, Madoka desperately wanted to stay and live with her loved ones, but she didn't have a choice. Or at least, that's what Homura thinks. It isn't entirely clear if this is how Madoka truly feels, because keep in mind, the version we're seeing in this movie is a memory-altered version of Madoka. There's no way of knowing for sure how she felt. With her own wish, she essentially killed herself and inadvertently destroyed Homura in the process. This scene between the two sends Homura to the very edge. She spent so much time reliving the same month over and over, all to save Madoka. But now she realized she failed the one she loved the most. Madoka selflessly gave up her existence to save everyone, but unknowingly sent Homura into a deeply painful life, one in which she had now failed what she had devoted so much time to, what she had even become a magical girl for. Homura felt that she failed Madoka, and mentally, she couldn't handle that fact. When faced with a decision, Homura chose death in the end to further protect Madoka from Kyubei's grasp. But when she wasn't allowed to do so, she decided to accomplish what she's been working for so long. The final plot twist of the movie, she saved Madoka, bringing her back into existence. In doing this, she directly disobeyed the law of cycle. Homura became the devil, as only another god could defy the law God had created. Using her newfound power, she remade the world once again. She made a world she wanted to live in, one with her ideal picture of Madoka. Can I be so bold as to say, in my opinion, this movie was better than the original series? Out of the movies I've covered so far on this channel, and I've covered 3 absolute bangers, this one has by far been my favorite. Which is saying something because Nausicaa, A Silent Voice, and Perfect Blue have all been very significant to me in different ways. But Rebellion to me was perfect. It just made me feel whole. This was the story I've always wanted to see. The character writing in this movie was more saturated, and the story was enticing the entire time I watched it. And the main difference between this and the anime is I like Homura as a character far more than Madoka. I'll say it. Not that I don't like Madoka, of course she's a great character, but I just couldn't identify much with her, or at least not in the same way that I identified with Homura. Madoka is a character who, during the anime, didn't feel she was valued or could particularly do anything special, which is a significant sentiment, but we were told by Kyubey how powerful Madoka secretly is pretty early on in the show, so the conclusion of the anime didn't have much to do with Madoka's character growth, more just realizing what we already knew in a spectacular way. Homura's story feels so much more real. She is a selfish person ruined by a toxic love, a specific type of emotional state that you begin to get to know more personally as you age, represented beautifully through a single character's demise and rebirth. Homura is the highlight of Rebellion, and plainly, for me, the highlight of the whole series. I understand the fandom is split with what they did with her character, and understandably so. I mean, she became the devil, but it's important to remember that she isn't quite finished. She is at the peak of her nuclear destruction, but we've yet to see the fallout. I'm sure in the newest movie to come, we'll see another significant change in her arc. Her descent into rebellion isn't a bad thing. It elegantly drives home the message of this story, the duality of love, a feeling that can cause great euphoria, but all the same, just as much sorrow. At the end of the day, Rebellion is standing on the shoulder of a giant, and that giant being the original show, so that's to say Rebellion cannot be as good as it is without the footing that the original show gave it. So comparing the two isn't exactly fair, but either way, it's how I feel, okay? Remember to like the video to help me out a ton, and subscribe for more like this one, and follow my Twitter in the description for video updates. I really appreciate it. I really learned a lot making this video, and I'm excited to make more and more like this one, so definitely stick around if you're into that. I don't know. I hope you have a fantastic day, and with that, that's all I wanted to say.